Have you ever looked online at some of the values of your property that you own, and all the values are different depending on what website you're looking at? I mean, you've got realtor.com, you've got Zillow, you've got Remax, you've got Century 21, Redfin. I mean, it just goes on and on. So how do you know what the actual value of your property is? My name is Mike Fiebernitz. I am a real estate agent with Remax Southern Shores here in Myrtle Beach, and I'm going to dive into who's right and who's wrong. Stay tuned. So before we jump into taking a look at some values of a property that I have listed and see the differences between them and see who's right or wrong, hit that subscribe button so that way you're notified of any new content that I put out for all the buyers and sellers in real estate. So let's go ahead and dive in with the very first website we're going to take a look at, and it is Zillow. So as you can see here, I have got a property listed actually for sale. I have this on the market for sale over on 35th Avenue North in North Myrtle Beach. A list price, our asking price, is $674,900. Now, if you scroll down, you will see a zestimate of $625,700. Okay, so right now we are getting an offer at this asking price, and Zillow is saying it is not even close to what it's worth. Okay, so here we are at realtor.com, and we have got the exact same property address listed for sale, $674,900. And then if we come down here to the real estimate, is what realtor.com calls it, we actually have two valuations. We got a collateral analytic valuation or estimate at $694,000, and then a quantarium estimate at $662,000. Now, as I said, we got an offer on this, so the 694 is not accurate, because if it was worth $694,000, then we would have gotten an offer when we were on the market for that price, but we didn't. So that is kind of different from Zillow. Zillow is a whole lot lower than what realtor.com has the value for this house is. So the third website we're going to take a look at is Redfin here, which same property, 405 35th Avenue there in North Myrtle Beach. List price $674,900. So let's see if we can find the estimate on Redfin for this property. So you got to scroll down almost to the bottom on some of these websites. And here we go. All right, so the Redfin estimate for this property is $652,000. Now, different from Zillow and realtor.com that we looked at. So that goes to show that, you know, they're all pulling different values on this property. All right, so now we're going to take a look at Trulia. So same thing, Trulia, same address, same asking price. And if we scroll down, now it's a little harder on Trulia.com, but they kind of disguise it as price trends, and right here as the median home value, which is $389,000. That is nowhere close to the value. That is a value back probably around 2016, 2017, maybe, probably not even that. So Trulia.com is valuing this property at $389,000. Now, here's the crazy part about Trulia. Trulia is owned by Zillow. So they're owned by the same company, and they are completely different on the values for this property. All right, so we just looked at 4 websites where the values basically came in all across the board. I mean, Trulia even came in nowhere close to the value, but still that value is being put out there for buyers to see on your property. So now the big question is, who's right and who's wrong? Well, I'm going to give you 4 reasons why none of them are right. The very first reason why none of these online website estimates are right is that none of them have been into your house. So they don't know the complete features that you've got. They don't know all the upgrades that you've done to the property. They don't know any additions that you've done. So they don't know all of this. So basically, as a real estate agent, I can give you a number over the phone, but it's not going to be accurate until I get inside your property to take a look at all of these upgrades, all of these additions, and then give you a complete analysis on the actual value of your property. So the second reason why these websites are not right is because these websites actually have a different goal. And that goal is to collect your contact information, turn around and sell it to some of these real estate agents that are basically paying to play. So if you ever went on these websites and you looked at the value and you go, all right, I want to request more information. Well, you don't connect to the actual company behind the website. You don't connect with someone at Zillow or Realtor.com. No, what they do is they take your information and they turn around and they give it to a real estate agent in that market. So then that way that agent can reach out and basically help you out with whatever questions you got. So are they trying to help you out with the value, or are they trying to get you what we call clickbait, to be able to take your contact information, collect it, and then give it to any real estate agent willing to pay, which you might not even get an experienced agent. You might get a brand new agent, because it's all down to the mighty dollar on who's willing to pay to play. So the third reason is actually one of my favorite reasons on why these websites are not right with their estimates. And I'm going to do a screen share, and we're going to go back to Zillow at the property that I currently have listed, that the estimate is $625. And you have to do a little bit of digging to try and, get the actual reason behind this estimate. And what Zillow's saying is basically their disclaimer, is what we're going to call it. So if you go and click on this estimate range right here, and then it gives you this link, see data coverage and accuracy table. So it's going to give you a bunch of details about the Zestimate, okay? And it's going to give you major metropolitan areas on the median error, how close they are within 5% of the sales price. You can come down here, and let's say we take a look at South Carolina, and they're off by 8.36%. So if that's a $500,000 house, you do the math, right? That is a difference of their estimate of close to $40,000. But if you keep on going down here, it tells you how the Zestimate is actually calculated. And it uses a sophisticated neutral network-based model. Basically, layman's terms, it's a math algorithm. All right, that's all it is. It's an algorithm, which is a math equation. It pulls your public data from county tax and assessor records and direct feeds from MLS and turns around and gives you a value. Okay, so that fourth bedroom that you added on, Zillow doesn't know about. So they're actually giving you an estimate of 3 bedrooms. Okay. Now, here's my favorite part about this estimate. And this is what I found years ago. If you come down here, you got some questions, but then you got a question called, is the Zestimate an appraisal? No. Right there. Period. The Zestimate is not an appraisal, and it can't be used in place of an appraisal. It's a computer generated estimate of the value of the home today. Now, here's my favorite part about this. We encourage buyers, sellers, homeowners to supplement the Zestimate with other research, such as visiting the home. So actually going to view it if you're a buyer, getting a professional appraisal of the home, or requesting a comparative market analysis from a real estate agent. Basically, what this paragraph is saying is that, look, it's just an estimate. If you want the actual value, go visit the home if you're a buyer, or pay to get an actual appraisal on the property, or talk to a real estate agent and get a market analysis on your house. It's my favorite out of all of them. So the fourth and final reason why these online estimates are not right is because the buyer ultimately determines your value. Here's why. Because whenever you go to sell the property, the buyer's the one that's spending their money and putting a value on your property to buy it. If they come and look at it and they pass on buying it, it means the value is too high. Okay. So when it comes to these online estimates, if the buyer is not agreeing with these online estimates, then that's all they are. They're just an estimate. They're speculation. So how do you determine the value of your property? Well, if you're thinking about selling, then hire a real estate agent to come out and do a comparative market analysis for you. So that way you guys can come up with a competitive asking price in today's market. Now, if you're not looking to sell, but you still want to know the value, you can hire an appraiser to come out and appraise your property. So that way, you know the value of the property, and that is the closest value you'll get to a buyer buying it. Now, let's just say you're a buyer. So the easiest way for you to determine the value if you're a buyer is to go into the property, view it, and compare it to similar properties that you're considering on buying. And then that way you can determine if it is valued at its asking price or not. So remember, all these online home values, take them with a grain of salt, because the true value of your home is not determined by just an online number. That's all I've got. Hey, thank you for tuning in. If you could hit the subscribe button so that way you're notified on the next time I put out content that I always do for all the buyers and sellers looking for information in real estate. Have a good one.